Hey everybody, I just wanted to make a really quick video just to show you a few things about how to navigate within the Gleim system, just because I think their tutorial doesn't really help much in terms of what you need to be doing inside there. So when you first log in, this is basically where you're going to get taken. If you have to, you might have to click on Personal Classroom, but I believe this is where I was taken. I'm using this as a student right now. I set up a student account for myself. So first thing I want to show you is how to access the notes. So the first time you go in, when you click on the audit review system, you're going to have to accept some terms. You're going to notice there's a lot of printing on it that doesn't look anything like this. And you've got to scroll to the bottom, accept their terms for using the system, and then scroll down again and click continue. Once you do that, it's going to give you a list of all the study units. It's going to look like this, and what you're going to want to do is go in and select the one that I've listed on the syllabus as being related to the homework that's due on that time. The only one that this doesn't apply for is the first one, because the first one's a review. If you're struggling with things related to the review, I would recommend looking back at your Audit 1 notes and or just going through the questions, because the questions that I assigned are the things that I consider most relevant, and I'm going to show you in a second how to go back through and look at wrong answers and everything like that. So, but in terms of on a weekly basis or whatever, when you're going in, let's just say for example the homework that's due is on sampling, right? That's the next one that's due. You could go into evidence on sampling, and it'll take you to something that looks like this. You can practice these things. You can do the multiple choice quizzes, and that'll give you all of the multiple choice from the Gleim Online. But if you want to get some notes, what you want to do is go to step 4 in here and click on the knowledge transfer outline, and they've given you a nice little link now that's very big that says view outline, and that's going to take you into the notes. Since we don't have a textbook in this class, I think these notes serve as a pretty good supplement to the notes that we go through in class, because they tell you all the things that are specifically set up for the CPA exam and for these types of multiple choice questions. So these are actually good things to have. You may want to print them out if you want to have them as references when you're working through the multiple choice for any section. So that's what those look like, and you can do that for any section. So if you wanted to, after you're done with 15, when you go into whatever the next one is that you want to work on, whether it's risk assessment, section 3 or some section in there, you can do that. One other thing I want to point out to you within these knowledge transfer outlines, when I reference section say 3.1 or 3.2 or 3.5 or whatever section it might be, that's referring to the main headers within here, like this 3.2 planning and audit. So if I say on the syllabus a couple of sections are the ones that are the questions are from, it's those sections in here, and when I was putting them together, those were the sections that Gleim referenced as where it came from. So that's how you can tell what you should be looking at. Now, as far as taking the homeworks, next thing I want to show you is how to actually access the quizzes and see the reviews on them. So access professor-led courses is where you want to go for that. When you go in there, one thing I want to point out to you is don't click on these things, the upcoming events. If you do, it just takes you to a calendar, which is obviously not what you're looking for. You're looking for the quizzes. What you want to do is, if you're not seeing the quizzes right here, click on assessment quizzes. If you click on them, that takes you to where they're all shown here. And the first one you're going to want to do is the homework one. Why they've got it backwards, I don't know. You'll see the deadline for them and the date it's due, and you just click on it, and that will take you to where you can take the actual quiz, and it's going to tell you start the quiz and all this. One thing I would like to warn you about, don't start the quiz over again if you want to see the answers to one that you just finished. It's very bizarre. I can see every attempt you've done. For some reason you can only see your most recent one, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but that's how they've got it. So once you start the quiz, if you're doing it a second time, your old one's gone. you're not going to be able to see it. So don't start the quiz if you want to see your old one. So I'm going back here for a second. If you want to see and review your answers, what you do is you go into the assessment grades. Now you're going to see for me, because I started a new one, mine now shows a 0 for the last time I took it. That really doesn't matter, except that you can't see what you missed, because one of the nice features of this is when you've completed one, if you go straight into assessment grades, you'd see the grade you got on it, and you click on this, and what it'll do, it'll take you into where you can review on it. Now in this case, for some reason for me, since I already clicked on start a quiz, it's going to say this again. If you get this, here's what you want to do. This is why I'm showing you this. Just start the quiz over since you've got 10 things, and then just go in here. You can see on the review items, click on review items. It'll show you which ones you've done, which ones you haven't done. Click end examination. It's going to tell you you haven't done anything. Alright, that's fine. That's fine. If you've already, and this is basically a way to get out of one of the problems I've noticed in this system. Hopefully you don't ever get to this point. So I clicked grade, and then I can continue to review if I want to. But I'm going to go back in to the professor-led home just to show you what to do. After you've taken a quiz, when you go into the assessment grades, click on the assessment grades, click on homework 1, and if you've already taken it, it's going to say, hey, you can review it. Okay, fantastic. It shows you what you're supposed to do. Click on the continue button, and you can filter on missed flag questions. Now in this case, every single one of these questions is missed or flagged because I just got a 0 on it. I just graded it. But what it will do is it will show you what your answer was. It'll show it was wrong, and you can go through here, and as you click on them, it'll tell you if it was right or wrong, and it'll give you the answer of why it wasn't. So you can see what you did wrong, and you can figure out what you should have done. Okay, so you can go through and say, okay, proper segregation of duties reduces the opportunity to allow any employee to be in a position to both, and you have to go through and say, okay, so I put adopt new accounting pronouns, which is hopefully none of you put that. You can go and say, okay, record and conceal transactions. Okay, perfect. Proper segregation of duties, of responsibilities. And just in case you didn't know what the answer was, you can click through all of them. That's one of the things I like about this. And then when you're done, you just can click to the next question, and it'll take you to the next one you missed. If you want to see one that you didn't miss, you can say show all questions. Okay? And then you click done when you're done, return to professor-led home, and you can go back in and you can take the quiz again. And I noticed, I looked at my grade book, even though when you're in the student view you can only see the most recent one you did, you don't have to ask me. I can see everything you've done. So if I go into my professor account and I look at my student account, I can see I've taken this thing several times. And I can see the first grade where I actually put some answers in and everything like that. So I can see everything you've done. For some reason, they don't let you see everything you've done, which is really weird, and I know it would lead to a lot of questions from you to me if I didn't put this video up. So just be aware, I can see everything. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. Why it doesn't let you see them all, I don't know. It's something I'm going to suggest to them for sure, because you should be able to see everything. Okay, if you have any other questions, you can just ask me, but basically, once you've reviewed, you can go back, start it again, and then you can go through and just know that as long as you've done one, you can keep going back and trying them until you know the answers to these things. Alright,